In every developed country on Earth, people are currently talking about growth. This has two reasons. First, how can we overcome the financial and economic crisis and be prepared for the future? That means, how do we guarantee prosperity? And second, most politicians and managers believe that growth is a remedy, a universal instrument to master the future and to play an active role in the global market. At the same time, most people believe growth can be measured by GDP, and growth reflects our well-being. Now let's have a look at the resources that nurture growth. During the past period of industrialization, natural resources and workforce used to make companies strong and countries rich. It was technological progress that determined productivity. People started investing in science and research. Today, in the post-industrialization era, it is basically knowledge which creates economic potential. Intangible assets decide about profits or losses. But this kind of capital has unique characteristics. It is constructed between the ears. It grows when we use it, and it is never stable. It is alive. Intellectual capital is strongly connected with its owners. Knowledge locked as information in a book or database is useless unless people combine the explicit knowledge with experiences and individual previous knowledge. Knowledge is bound to human beings. If we take the economic perspective now, it is pivotal to stimulate the intellectual performance and lure employees to utilize their knowledge for the good of economic prosperity. However, studies have shown that monetary incentives only work as long as mechanical skills for simple, straightforward tasks are involved. If cognitive skills are needed, a higher reward leads to a poorer performance. In 1911, Frederick Taylor published his book about the principle of scientific management. Though you might not know the author, almost everybody is familiar with his concept. He proposed to use resource allocation, standardization, quality control procedures, cost accounting, interchangeability of parts, and work planning to manage tangible assets and overcome inefficiency. Systematic management rests upon clearly defined rules, laws, and principles, and is characterized by planning, controlling, and therefore, a direct steering of the organization. Truly, the extraordinary fast development during the industrialization supports this way of understanding perfectly. But looking again at the post-industrial period of today, where knowledge workers are the driving force of companies and the societies as such, this old-school management 1.0 leads into a blind alley. Knowledge workers do not follow the traditional notations of management. They have a high ability of entrepreneurship with self-motivation, self-responsibility, and self-determination, and they feel a higher loyalty to their topic than to their organization. Additionally, they expect a high diversity of tasks to be motivated and satisfied. Dan Pink, an American author and consultant, summarized 3 elements forming the motivation of knowledge workers: autonomy, the desire to direct their own lives; mastery, the wish of getting better at themes and tasks that really matter; and finally, purpose, the eagerness to make a contribution to something larger. If these needs can be achieved, the result will not only be personal satisfaction, but also better performance at new, more complicated tasks. Traditional views of management do not serve this new concept. Only a management concept which incorporates these perspectives will be successful on the long run and deserves the label Management 2.0. So far, we have looked at 2 things: the characteristics of knowledge workers on one hand, and the necessity to lead in an atmosphere of trust on the other hand. But here comes the dilemma. Our educational system does not at all support a future-oriented way of learning. Schools should facilitate the capacity of divergent thinking of each single individual. But instead, as Sir Ken Robinson impressively explained, schools still follow the model of industrialization and are organized as factory lines. Teaching is the principle, not education. But then, how can we all call for a large number of highly educated and talented people for our economy if standardized testing is our approach, and conformity is our goal? And does lifelong learning require even more formal qualifications and seminars only? In 2011, an IBM study revealed that 1,500 business leaders from 60 nations and 33 branches stated creativity to be the most important ability for leadership. How to tackle this challenge? It is a new way of thinking which is required to push our development forward in a truly future-oriented way. Utilizing the innovation potential slumbering in the heads of many people is an essential precondition of growth. This is the field where we have to be at our best. We are trapped in the mindset of Management 1.0. We are still thinking in facts and figures. We still use traditional indicators of economic development, believe in formal qualifications and technological solutions. Consequently, if we want to utilize the power of educational systems and innovation potential, we must not stick to the notion of improving traditional concepts to achieve better results. Instead, we should do it differently. There is a world with new rules out there. We need a change of paradigm in management. Our natural social and economic environment is influenced by innumerable factors. It is dominated by megatrends concerning nature, civilization, and technology, as well as globalization and individualism. The world around us is highly dynamic and complex. It is turbulent and volatile. The same is true for individual perceptions, attitudes, and behaviors. In this world, mechanistic approaches do not work any longer. Instead, we need to promote situational intelligence. This term describes the capability of individuals, organizations, or societies to use the whole range of knowledge and experience to actively push a specific development. Of course, there is a general concept of the process in advance, but the pathways are not defined precisely. Goals have to be set and described, but never defined in detail. This allows for a continuous anticipation and integration of new approaches, new information, and new ideas. Any approach promoting the unfolding of situational intelligence is most dynamic and enables free movement in a given framework. We need this new spirit, hard skills and soft skills combined with agile attitudes. It is this situational intelligence that uncovers innovative potentials and permits utilizing them for our economic development. But how to stimulate the unfolding of situational intelligence? It requires the interaction of at least 3 different virtues: a substantial knowledge base, an individual readiness to participate in an active knowledge flow, and the ability of thinking in a multidirectional way. Expert know-how as such is no longer the exclusive source of intelligent action. Another, similarly important component has to be added: people's potential of divergent thinking. The process of stimulating situational intelligence requires an environment that supports the interaction of all 3 components in a systematic and conscious way. It will be rewarded by lots of possible answers, different interpretations, a number of ways to succeed, and a most dynamic knowledge-creating process. Today, many organizations and societies acknowledge that the effective use of their knowledge base can provide substantial additional value and competitive advantage. But they struggle with the process of intentionally managing knowledge in order to transform organizational knowledge into collaborative success. However, there is an existing and widely approved concept of knowledge management which supports successful handling of knowledge items and knowledge process by providing target-oriented tools. This concept distinguishes between 6 different fields. Each of these fields can be addressed by different methods. For example, research contributes primarily to the acquisition and development of knowledge. Sharing and documentation of knowledge is the predominant domain of IT systems, and human resource management is looking into the right allocation of expertise, thus serving different fields of knowledge management. Another most intriguing aspect of active knowledge handling is its transfer. There are 2 substantially different kinds of knowledge flow. One is the exchange of knowledge between 2 knowledge owners, which can be active or passive, conscious or unconscious. The other has best been phrased by the German universal genius Goethe, who said, "It's not enough to know, we must use it. It is not enough to desire, we must do it." He described the most relevant point, the transfer of existing knowledge into real action. In this moment, knowledge unfolds its true value. But even if we had realized all these arguments so far, there would still be another sphere of action. Tapping the true potential of knowledge requires more than conventional methods. Additional input from many disciplines is necessary. Promising sources are arts and design. Designers have long-standing experience with respect to the informal nature of knowledge transfer. It is part of their approach to abstract any question or task before creating a new solution from a different and frequently unexpected perspective. Their approach will enrich traditional views and unlock a new world beyond knowledge. Hoping that you still remember our opening statement, we now return to the start of our journey through the globe of knowledge. We are facing a world of economic instability where leaders and politicians constantly call for more growth. This world is the result of a development along defined pathways. Will these trails really provide a way of recurrent crises and into prosperity, into a higher level of well-being? We are convinced that any future progress depends on doing things differently. We have to understand that there is a world with new rules out there. Accept that currently existing mindsets limit innovative solutions for the future. Think differently about management and start leadership and create the framework for situational intelligence. Combining these considerations may result in a whole new approach that has good chances of leading to a different type of growth, a responsible growth, which reflects the dimensions of good governance, the capacity of divergent thinking, and the attitude of respect and trust.